Early on the last Sunday of July, Emilia Peña, supervisor at Via Capasso 29, rented a tiny basement room to Salvatore, who, with his sons, ran a modest grocery and eatery set into the corner of the palazzo. They met at the small service store on Via Tribunale, and Peña escorted the man across an inner courtyard to the basement stairs. The courtyard was cluttered and unswept, and as they walked, Salvatore answered Peña's questions but did not chatter. He spoke quickly and in a soft voice, mellow enough so that much of what he said was lost to her. No, he said. In all these years, he hadn't seen these rooms before. The windows overlooking the courtyard were closed and shuttered. This wasn't for him. This wasn't for his business. The basement, Peña explained, was what remained of an earlier building, small square rooms carved into the tufa, with barrel vaults that might have been used as storage for food, oil, wine. Nobody really knew, as nobody knew how old they were. Every building abutting the Duomo had similar rooms dug at different levels, each sunk deeper than an ordinary basement. Their layout didn't conform to the layout of the buildings above, and there were signs that they were once linked. Peña took the steps one by one, her hand fast on the side rail, and hoped that this effort wouldn't be wasted. The temperature dropped as soon as they stepped out of the sun. The walls, rough as pumice, shed a white grit, a kind of static. The previous tenant had left the room in a poor state. Flattened boxes scattered across the slab floor, a stained mattress tied into a roll and tipped against the wall, a stove, stripped of fittings, turned into the room out of square. A window slit let in a little dull natural light through a shaft carved up to street level. And was that Via Tribunale or Via Capasso 7 or 8 meters above them? Salvatore couldn't quite tell. Salvatore stood under the window, cocked his head, and appeared to listen. In all these years, he admitted he'd assumed the door led to another apartment or street-level rooms. Although he knew the city had subterranean vaults and passages, he'd never given it much serious thought. "In the war," he said, and nodded. "Yes, in the war," Peña supposed. "They would have been used for shelter." Salvatore measured the room with strides. "No one comes down here?" he asked. "It's secure?" Peña showed him the keyring and chain. If he was worried about security, there were only 2 keys. He would have one and she would have the other. The last time these were used, she had to think back, would be 7 or 8 years ago. Whatever he wanted to store down here would be safe. Nobody knows about the place to steal from it, she said. Pay the rent in full and on time and everything will remain secure. Salvatore took 2 or 3 photographs with his mobile phone, although, in truth, there was nothing to show, and he didn't seem to know what he was looking for. When he was done, he snapped the phone shut and said he needed to return to the courtyard to get a signal. Peña locked the door and labored back up the steps. Not even halfway, she paused for breath and asked if he was or wasn't interested, and the man became flustered. It wasn't for him, he said. Hadn't he explained he was working as an agent, a go-between, for his associates? They were brothers, businessmen, French. They didn't speak Italian, and they were busy, so he'd agreed to check the room for them. Just as soon as he could send the images, they would get right back to him. He pressed ahead and hurried through the door, and by the time she joined him, Salvatore said he'd spoken with the brothers, they'd looked at the photos, and they were happy. They'd take the room for 1 month, but they'd pay for 2 to cover any inconvenience or deposit. He could pay her now in advance. With money in her fist, Peña repeated the terms of the lease. This was for 1 month, renewable before the end of the month. The first key would open the small door at the main entrance and the door to the basement from the courtyard. The larger brass key was for the room itself. Salvatore and his associates could come and go as they pleased, but they should not disturb the residents. As an afterthought, she asked for the brothers' contact details.